Good morning. Today is November 3rd, 2018, and this is the end of the week recap. Jumping right into it. Let's talk about British pound, Japanese yen. So we were looking for some short opportunities on this going into the week. Right here, that's a lot of pips. That's 40 pips. This man, that's 20 something pips. And then here was an entry and then a subsequent closeout. So you never really got that unless you took on a little bit more risk. You really never got that an opportunity to short into over here, in which you should have closed out that trade for a small loss. Let me point out really quickly that when the price closes above the 128, which is basically the 34 on the 4-hour chart, I do not take another short trade until the price closes back below the 34. So this candle, that's not a short candle. This is not a short candle. This is not a short. There was never another opportunity to short on here. So I want to be very clear about that. And it never provided another entry to get into the British pound, Japanese yen. Australian dollar, Japanese yen, from a short perspective, a little close above right here. We were looking for short opportunities. And this would have, this is a close below the 34, which would have been a new entry. I forget who it was, but it was somebody who asked me about taking that trade way down here. And I mentioned that I only take these trades when, if I'm not taking the trade if the candle on this second candle and it was kind of down here somewhere. When that trade closes below when that price closes below the 34, that's my entry. And the reason I want to point that out is because on these trades, 10 pips can make a difference. 10, 15 pips can make a difference we're just playing defense. Our job is to play defense and keep the losses small. So missing that, this is the difference entering here and closing out here. That's 23 pips versus if I enter, say, down here somewhere, that's 40 something pips. So that little 20 pips, that's a difference. That's a big difference. Especially when you get up there in the contract sizes. And once again, it's just all about playing defense. There was another entry here which shot up, and that was 200 pips. So not worried about these little 5 pips or 20 pips or whatever the case, because there are going to be positions that more than pay for the little small losses. That's just something that's going to happen, continue to happen. Euro, Australian dollar, we were looking for short opportunities on this. Say for instance you took a short here and you got stopped out here for a small loss. This was the next entry. I do know somebody who took this trade and then held for the break, and that thing just continued to push all week. Actually pushed 300 pips. I know you didn't get that many, but the point was to hold, get enough to get the break even, and get to the target. British pound, Swiss franc. Let's see here. That's 24. Came close, but not close enough. And then an entry here, and then a stop, and then the market just turned around. Nothing you're going to be able to do about that. US dollar, Canadian dollar provided a lot of little setups. So one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, and then finally a breakdown going into the end of the week. The thing that it just never got any rise, right? It just never got any lift off, meaning it never went to 160. And that's the importance of trying to enter these trades as close to the 128 as possible, or within that 20 pip range, because the goal is to, number one, keep the losses small, and then number two, at least get the break even, right? That's just proper risk management, and that's what we're here to do. And let's see, US dollar, Japanese yen, we were looking for some short opportunities, and the market just turned around. I mean, pretty much on Monday. And I'm not sure who took this little early entry, but I forget. But there were some other entries here, right in this area, and a little close below here. Who was that? Now this was early. I want to talk about this real quick. This was early Friday morning, which is a fine trade. Anywhere in this actually this was, I just know somebody took this. I can't remember who it was when we were talking about it. But it wasn't one that I would have taken until the price closed above the 34. Because after the price closes below the 128, I do not take another trade until the price closes back above the 34. So there was a close back above. Here was another entry. And then by probably up in this area, it was way too late in the morning to be taking another trade on Friday. Euro US dollar. Immediately, that was, I know Joe, I know you took this trade and did well on this. And this just played out perfectly. Like entry over here, and then you just had to wait for 3 days. I mean, it made a little move over 3 days, and then it turned around on Thursday, which is fine. British pound US dollar has continued to didn't give us a good setup, but it's continued to push. And the thing I want to additionally point out here is, you see how the price, this is what I'm always talking about, the 128 and just allowing, when we're talking about closing out trades, allowing the price to work, because the price may push past the 128 or push through a level and then not close there. And so this is a bona fide entry and actually enough to get the break even. Now, granted, going into Thursday, it did close above the 128 and just completely turn around. That's fine. But this is important to highlight just pure price action and how it rejected this area and then closed. And so it's no need to panic. It either rejects it or closes above it. And so it's no need for me to panic about what I need to do. It's just about being patient and waiting. And if you're panicking, that means you have too much, your position size is too large for your account or for your psychology, or you're just not trusting the process. Euro Japanese yen, we're looking for short opportunities. I mean, right up in here in this area, it did push just a little bit, but not too much. And then, basically turned around on Wednesday. The real opportunity for this one, well, actually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, here's a little short opportunity that turned into a loss. And then here was the next entry that actually paid out just a little bit. So, just is what it is. You can look at this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's just really kind of sideways. Nothing we can do about that but manage risk. British pound, Australian dollar, never gave us an entry, but it just pushed down from the previous week. Here was an entry. Here was an entry that played out. Here's it never closed above the it never closed above the 128. Never closed above the 128, and so very important that I highlight it, the respect of that. So something to take into consideration. I know you all did reasonably well this week overall. One last thing I want to point out is, I've been kind of going over the stock market, and everything that we've discussed thus far has played out. And this is the S&P. And so this is what's happening. Like, the pattern, down, up, down. And right now, this 200-day moving average, which is something that all the institutional players use, institutional banks and etc., traders. If price does not close above this area right here, you see how it came up there and rejected it, just kind of didn't close up there. If it doesn't close above here, like we're in this kind of a stalemate right now, it's going to get real ugly. And it's going to happen. If that starts to happen, it's going to happen it's going to be swift and nasty. So you see how on the Dow, price came down and closed back above this 200 level. It went up to 25,500, came down back to the 200 and didn't close there. So, but these bounces are expected. So if this starts to close back below that area and that S&P doesn't get a lift off as well, it's going to get ugly. That means it's going to create more volatility. That money's going to start to move around all over the place and just provide us additional opportunities. Nothing to worry about, just something to point out. But anyway, I hope you all have a great weekend. I'll be sending out the plan tomorrow. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You all have the link to schedule appointments, send text messages with questions and so forth, and I'll talk to you soon.